Insights with Terri Ep.165 a weekly look through the eyes of predictive astrologer Terri Ep.165. Here's Terri.
Hi everyone. You're listening to Insights with Terri Ep.165, and I'm Terri Ep.165. Thank you for joining me to explore the week of April the 14th through the 22nd, 2024. Thanks for jumping aboard. I appreciate your time. As we talked about in quite a few other recordings, and I won't beat this to death, I hope, we're still in a very strong energy field that's ruled by Aries. Aries being a fire sign. And it's in a lot of the other different planets as well. So we're experiencing a lot of fire. And thanks to Charlie O'Brien, who has put together the website, www.terriworld.com, and has archived quite a few of the previous podcasts in case you missed them, or you just want to get some sense of congruency, or you just want to recap. It's there. He's put it up there. So I won't beat the fire sign to death, but it is in Mercury, which is how we think and how we communicate, and it is going retrograde. And I did talk about retrograde in the last podcast. I won't do that again. But it's going to be in retrograde until the 24th of this month. Excuse me. And that is Murphy's Law, where we're just not thinking straight. This is an easy time for people, in a nutshell, to make mistakes, to overlook things, to just have things not necessarily initially go right. But if we're patient and we've left ourselves enough time to not be stressed, it can go right eventually. It's just not how we had planned it. And we also have Aries and Venus is the planet of love and beauty, the planet of our attraction, what's attractive about us, what's attractive to us, and that's in Aries. So when we look at this type of energy field that's still here, and Mars, a fire sign, being in Pisces, which is a water sign, which, I mean, one can put the other out, one can burn the other one off, or we can contain it and make steam and be very powerful with the energy. But that's a choice of ours, isn't it? That's something that we choose. How are we going to let these situations that come to us every day, every minute, once a week, how are they going to let us experience it, and how are we going to choose to experience it, and what are we going to do with it? Are we going to make ourselves better for it, or make our situation worse because of the decisions that we made? On that note, we do have to be careful with the Sun in Aries and Mercury going retrograde and Venus, that we don't get so impulsive, because the key word for Aries is activity and initiation, and it's cardinal, which is fluid, ruled by Mars, which is a fire sign. Fire gives us energy and impulse. So it's good if we want to just maybe go do a project and we just look at it and we impulsively jump in and start it, which could help us continue on a project that maybe we were putting off and procrastinating. But we may also dig ourselves in a place maybe that we don't want to go, or it's too much for us right now, or the timing is off. So impulse is good. We just have to be a little bit aware of why and what we're doing. The functional expression of Aries is courage, being bold, maybe inspiring, because of that impulsiveness, that optimism, that fire. We're just going to do it. So that can inspire some people to get going. It's intuitive when you pair it with Mars, being in Pisces, very intuitive energy field. It can be very decisive. We're just doing it. That's it. Deal with it. It's direct. Fire is very direct. And we can get very idealistic at this time, so we have to be careful. I think idealism is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. But, the big but, where does it put us? And does it help us at this time, or does it hinder us? And are we being realistic? Idealism is wonderful. I've seen people in situations that they really were idealistic. I'm going to get that new puppy. I'm going to make that puppy the best that it's going to be. This is going to be the best puppy in the whole world. So they get the new puppy and they buy the toys and they buy the leash and they got the crate and they've got the blankets, and it doesn't go that way. They didn't have time to train the puppy. A day turned into a week, turned into a month. Now the puppy isn't socialized and doesn't care for people, and now it's fighting with the family and biting the kids and going after their friends and family, and they can't have guests over anymore. So being ideally oriented, I'm going to have Lassie or Rin Tin Tin and going and doing something, but following through and taking that idealism and turning it into something productive and good. If they'd have gone out there and trained for 5 minutes a day, if they'd have taken the puppy on a couple of excursions to meet people, that would be a very different outcome than what I see almost on a regular basis. Of course, if you think about it, nobody would bring their dog to me or ask to do a reading, mostly when their lives are going so good and everything is so perfect. There are the odd person that does that and just want to keep on track and maybe enrich it even, but that's not the norm. Now, the dysfunction of Aries in the position that it is combined with Pisces is we can be very foolhardy, and that can just make bad decisions. We can get into ego very strongly. We've got to really watch that. Some of us are going to be offered some opportunities to wrestle with ego. I've had a couple of them this last week. I'm trying hard. That's all I can say is I'm trying hard. It can be very selfish. Self-centered is good if it's balanced, where we try to stay centered in self and keep our boundaries in a healthy position. But selfish is where it's all about us. Narcissism seems to be rampant. There must be something in the drinking water. And very self-oriented, because Aries is I, me, just me. And unthinking, because we're thinking about ourselves, not other people. Impulsive. And maybe a zealot. And golly, I've seen some mega zealots out there. Holy Toledo, how does anybody talk to them? Anyway, we won't go into politics. I'll try really hard not to. So a zealot is difficult to work with, and that's an energy that can be showering down over us. So the impulse to initiate and start things, that's here. Now, my take on things is I think that April leading into May is the beginning of the year. I know we think that January is, but from my perspective, I'm a nature-oriented person. So January's dead, like everything's dead, everything's sleeping, the trees are sleeping, the snow sometimes is on the ground, nothing's moving, everything's sleeping. It's the end, not the beginning. And then as we move in and the sun starts to warm up, then April comes, and we have April showers, so it may have flowers, and then we start life. My ducks are laying eggs now like crazy. I got duck eggs everywhere. I got chicken eggs everywhere. They're actually starting to sit on the nest now, so that means there's going to be little ducklings soon, and little chicklings, and little turkeylets, and all kinds of new birth. Maybe if you're near the woods, you'll see little baby raccoons or baby skunks or, oh God, baby rattlesnakes. Why did they do that? Anyway, this is what we've got to look forward to, I think, is new, inspirational, initiation. So I look at this as starting a new year. So you could look at it too. You look at your yard. What yard work needs to be done? How can I get going? Use this fiery impulse energy to get yourself out there. Sun is shining on the day that I'm recording this right now. It's beautiful out there. And it just makes you want to go and pick up the sticks and dig out the little thorns that are growing, all those picker bushes. Just clean up a little bit, start things. So the journey begins with Aries, I believe. And it represents, because it gives us a spark of energy. And that spark of energy, in a creative way, starts new life. It can start new life in your landscaping. It can start new life in the ducklings, in nature, in people. So at a fundamental level, Aries is motivated by the need to start and to act. And how do you want to drive yourself? Do you want to pioneer? Do you want to be the leader? Do you want to lead and go into some projects strongly? So this is also with that tendency towards self. I can also let us do our own thing. We don't need to have somebody doing things with us. We just can do our own thing. And it's easy to achieve when we're like really roaring here. We might have some choices, do I dig up this and make a garden over here? Do I take that and just make a lawn out of it and I don't want to do a garden? Quite a few people have shared with me. I'm surprised. And these are real gardeners. I mean, these are hardcore gardeners that they're not doing it. And that really surprised me. I'm not disappointed. I'm just surprised. And then I'm surprised at some of the ones that want to get gardening and are looking at doing that. So it's kind of interesting. We may have an affinity with energy and wanting with this energy field to get things right off the ground, get things going. So maybe finding the energy, take your vitamins, get your sleep, make sure that you're doing things right, eating the right foods that give you energy, not sugar like I do sometimes, that takes the energy away. I'll feel really great. Oh, as soon as I finish this and this, I'm going to go do this and this and this, and then maybe I'll see a piece of really nice fudge in the fridge that somebody gifted me with, or a chocolate bar. And if I succumb to that, my energy is gone in 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, I don't even feel good. I feel nauseous. And so food plays a huge part right now, and for us forever, in how we feel and what our energy level is going to be. So keep an eye on that. And even the horses and the dogs. You may find your dogs eating a ton of grass right now. This new grass, this new beginnings of grass has a certain mineral in it that the dogs require, certain enzymes that the dogs and the horses require. Each season has a different mineral content in the vegetables that we're eating. So if you take the horses, you have to change their feed, because if they're out on pasture, or the beef, or the goats, it changes. So we have to adjust according to the seasons, and we're the same. We're part of nature, whether we like to think of it or not. It's true. So we're going to have to work on the ability to finish things off. We'll be great at starting right now, but finishing things off are going to be more difficult. So we're going to need to learn discipline. They're going to offer us situations that will offer us the opportunity to work on self-discipline and to understand how to conserve our energy so that we're able to persevere and follow through. So that, children, is what we have to deal with in the next little bit, and to look forward to. So I am looking forward to some of that, and doing it really thoughtfully, really consciously, because I think it's important to be able to start things, but know that this is what's going to be involved. So just as an example, Saturdays are usually really, really busy for me. And that being the case, I thought there's no way I can cut the grass right now. It's too mushy anyway. But I can charge up the electric weed whacker and maybe just do, in the afternoon, if the sun comes out enough and dries, I might be able to do a little bit of weed whacking in certain areas that the sun has hit over the septic tank and made the grass go a little bit more. I'm not taking on too much. I'm not going to get the lawnmower started just yet, because the battery will be dead before the world dries up enough for me to get out there. But I am going to take on some little chores. So in that event, you may look to yourself for what is it that I can do to get these things moving a bit, and just chop away at some projects and enjoy yourself. That's the thing. Aries is fun. Look at fun. That's what we have to do, is look at fun. What's fun to do? Now, the number that was given to us for this week is the number 8. 8 combining with where it's an even number, so it's not as unruly as some of our odd numbers that offer some pretty interesting circumstances. And 8 doesn't seem to come up as much for me when I'm doing the numerology for the week, but it did this time. So this is ambition, which pairs beautifully with Aries. And the desire, I gotta be careful with this, for power and money. So we're gonna watch people that are in power, some of our politicians, some of the, and see where does this take them? And maybe look at ourselves. Maybe we want to control things. Just look at yourself and say, where am I weak and where am I strong? It can put us on some risky journeys. Now, these risky journeys could bring you to success, but you want to really be careful with it because of that impulsive nature. So for me, a risky journey was when I bought this farm with my partner at the time. It was way over our head. I mean, way over our head. But it really felt like it was going to be now or never. And this was in the 80s. And it was not affordable at the time. Now, if I told you how much I paid for it, you'd laugh at me. Okay, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. It's a 43-acre farm. We did build a new house after about 10 years. It's a big 60 by 40 barn. And the house is probably about 3,500 square feet. And I bought it for $167,000. Now, at the time, that was huge. Oh, my God. My dad said, you will never pay this off. You will be spending the rest of your life making mortgage payments. Well, we paid it off in 6 years. I finished the payments myself on my own. But now, what can you buy for $167,000? Was it a risk? Holy Toledo, was it a risk? I put my other house that I owned up for sale, and I put in an offer for this farm unconditional. So whether I sold that other place or not, and I did not have the resources. I had optimism. I had prayer. I had, holy cow, I'm willing to lose everything if I can win this. And I was prepared. Because I could have lost everything, but it was worth it. So you've got to decide for yourself, what is your comfort level? And some people are going to be offered at this time some of those opportunities to take the chance, but be ready to face the consequences. Will you have the courage? Will you have the endurance? Will you have the mental balance to stay the course? Honestly, I was scared to death. And we didn't even have an offer on the other place. We did not in 3 months, and this place was supposed to close in 3 months. We didn't get one offer on the other place. So I'm trying to think, how do I get a bridge loan? What do I do? Honestly, in the last week, we had a beautiful snowstorm. The place I had for sale looked gorgeous. We had one person come through there, and they gave me a cash offer unconditional. Talk about saved by the bell. Was it my organizational skills? No. Was it good management? A lot of it was luck. But I gotta say, we were tough. We were persistent. We were conservative in some of the things we did, and we did some things that were risky. We sold the house before we could move in here, so we lived in a trailer. It can be done if you want it bad enough and you're willing to think outside the box and work with it. That's what this energy is all about. I'm not telling you go out and be stupid. I'm just saying. So with the number 8, it's important to understand how to maintain the balance in life, how to be persistent, tough, and a little bit conservative, and keep that balance of giving and receiving. Material property will not bring you peace. It won't even bring you satisfaction if in some way it doesn't benefit others and if it isn't a benefit. So you really have to look at what you're doing. The farm brings me peace, but I also share it with people. I have people out with their dogs. We do pack walks. We do activity days. People come and just go for a walk with me. It's not unusual. I just go for a walk with people and share the beauty of the bush or the mud. Here, you can walk in the mud with me for a while. So there's a benefit to it. The weakness of number 8, paired with where it is, could be aggression, could be risk that's taken, too much of a risk, and then there's a failure and a failure and a failure. Impatience, intolerance, too tough, where it's just too tough. and losing a sense of decency and respect for others. This is a weakness of number 8 if we let it go wild with the Aries. And financial or legal problems if we're too impulsive. And picky and moody. Now watch for accidents. Health problems may come up for some people too, because we're impulsive. So we jump here, we jump there. We maybe don't take our time the way we should, and are careful in what we do. So we want to be careful. Impulse can make us hurt ourselves. Now, when I pulled some cards just to see kind of what we had in our corner for this week. And we've got some challenges. Now, like I said, this isn't for everybody. It's general. I feel very uncomfortable, honestly, doing general readings because it can apply to one person but not another person, and then it might be self-fulfilling prophecies. So I really am not comfortable doing general ones, but I'll do the best I can. There may be, for some of us, problems at work. So that was one of the cards that came up very strongly. So there are some people that are going to experience some problems at work. Maybe putting in a lackluster performance because they don't feel there's a direction for their job. There's job dissatisfaction. They're not crazy about the people that they're working with. The ambition that should be rising in us with Aries doesn't seem to get supported by peers or our bosses. I mean, a lot of bosses are good bosses, and some are just crap, where they just don't realize that people do need to be acknowledged, and just like when I train the dogs, if I just kept saying good dog, good dog, good dog, pretty soon they're not going to be trying for me. My dogs try really hard for me. I mean, they kill themselves for me. Why? Because I'm enthusiastic. When I'm training them, I'm on the moon. I am excited about the toys. I'm excited about the retrieving. I'm excited about the obedience, coming back when called, staying there while I need to go over here, accepting being tied for a few minutes while I go collect eggs, and exercising and encouraging self-discipline. So all of that I do with energy and love. And I reward them with hot dogs and toys and my energy and my approval. I don't see that at work with people in much of a context. So there's boredom. There can be, finally you just don't put an effort. So dogs that are not rewarded, when the owners say sit, sit, sit 10 times, then the dog maybe will slowly start to tuck the rear end under them and then slowly go down. Not involved in it at all. Whereas you take some of the dogs that I've seen, really good trainers, and I'm going to include myself in there, really good motivated trainers that just really get off on getting these dogs going. These dogs, when I say down, my dog just about staples himself to the ground. Like, it's just so funny. It's not half-hearted in any way, shape, or form. They're going to kill themselves by being so motivated. And that's what this challenge is going to be for us, is some of us, we are not going to be there. We are not going to be motivated. We need to learn to work harder for ourselves. We can put the work in that they've paid for. That's it, what they've paid for. And maybe look at acquiring new skills to maybe complete a project that we're doing for ourselves, or to make ourselves more valuable in a different area or the same area. And don't miss valuable opportunities for these people that are in this field right now because we're afraid to take a risk. But then I'm saying don't take a risk that lets you drown. So I don't have to live your life, and I don't have to be in with your consequences. So you have to make that decision yourself. So some of us are going to really feel that we're working hard, we're undervalued, and we're feeling very dissatisfied. And we're not going to get the approval or the recognition by doing a job well by the people that are not doing it now. But you have to do it for yourself. And even in relationships, because there's emotional support here, don't be lax on giving your relatives, your family, emotional support. That is really, really important. Really important. So that's what they've offered us, kids, for this week. I thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Charlie O'Brien sincerely from the bottom of my heart for all the hard work that he does posting these podcasts on Spotify podcasts, Apple iTunes, Amazon Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, and then he gives me the link and I post it on Facebook. I want to thank you for that, Charlie, from the bottom of my heart. And he created the website, www.terriworld.com, where he has archived 4 or 5 of the last podcast if you need to catch up or just go back and review. I thank Charlie for that too. And if you have any digital needs, don't be afraid to give him a shout. I know he'd be happy to help you out. And if you need me to help you with your dog training, to do any of the readings for you, to direct it at you personally, I'd be happy to. You can text or call 519-726-6699. You can find my email address on the website, www.terriworld.com. That, as I said, Charlie O'Brien has created for us. Or you can email me at terri.coutts@gmail.com. Thanks again, everybody. You have yourself a great week. Be good to each other. Go out of your way. Talk soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Insights with Terri Coots. Visit Terri's website at terriworld.com. TERRI world.com.